Hello, my friends. I want to share a very personal story with you. It's only 6 weeks till Christmas now, and it's reminded me of a Christmas fair few years ago now, which sticks in my memory. And the reason I'm telling this story is to give you some hope, first of all, if you're deep in alcoholism or addiction at the moment, that there is a way out. Doesn't matter how bad or impossible you think things are, there is a way out. And also to remind you of the hurt and the suffering that you inflict on your family and friends when you're deep in alcoholism or addiction. First of all, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to give the channel some support, if it gives you any help, click on the Ko-fi link in the description. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you. So about, I suppose, 7 years ago now, maybe 8 years ago, it was approaching Christmas. I'd been in Spain for about a year at that time. And I was heavily in the midst of probably the worst of my alcohol and opiate addiction. And because I was away from my family, although they probably knew that I was drinking as such, they didn't know to what extent that my addiction and my alcoholism had overtaken me. And Christmas was a really sacred time for our family, always has been. With my catering background and the fact I'm a chef by trade, it was always my role to cook the Christmas dinner. And it was always be a really large gathering every Christmas. Didn't matter how busy we were, because often we worked over Christmas and Christmas Day. But there would always be a point where I cooked a Christmas meal, even if it was on the Boxing Day, for the whole family and a group of friends. So probably between 15, 16, maybe 17 people sometimes. It was a wonderful and lovely occasion. As this particular Christmas approached, I began to realize I was deep in the shit because I knew that I obviously couldn't continue to drink or use drugs the way I was doing it when I went back home to spend the Christmas with my family, because I was going to be going back for 10 days. And during that period of 10 days, I was going to have to cook and prepare this Christmas meal. The amount I was drinking at that time and the drugs I was using, my tolerance level had built up to a phenomenal amount. You know, it was normal for me to be drinking easily a bottle of vodka a day, easily maybe 2 or 3 litres of wine a day on top of that. And on top of all that, taking tramadol tablets. This is all well documented on the channel if you want to look back. I won't go into all the details of that. So I knew that I would have to stop or taper down a few days before I travel back to England, to give myself any chance at all, if you like. Obviously, that's extremely dangerous. I don't recommend that you cold turkey from certainly excessive alcoholism, or even tramadol addiction, opiate addiction, without some medical advice or tapering down. But I did, because I wasn't in the right mind at that particular time. I was insane, as most of us are. I thought it was impossible to get out. I thought about ending it all every single day at that particular point in my life. Life was a nightmare. I was often isolated and alone in this apartment. I'd spend all day just thinking about getting hold of alcohol and drugs, taking them, and where I was going to get the money for the next lot. It was just a roller coaster on like a Ferris wheel going round and round and round and round, hopeless and helpless. So I stopped, and consequently, I started to go into withdrawal immediately because of the amount I was drinking. Tried to taper down, but I couldn't do that. So I thought I'll just stop. Obviously really dangerous. Had to travel back to England in a state of withdrawal. By the time I got back to England, I was in withdrawal, and no doubt about that at all. The shaking had become intolerable. The sweat, the anxiety, the fear that surrounded it all. I didn't really have control of myself. Trying to hide this as my family picked me up from the airport, they knew immediately that something was not right with me. I made an excuse that I'd caught some sort of bug and that I'd been vomiting on the way home, because I was vomiting, as well, every sort of 15, 20 minutes or so, retching and vomiting. You'll all know, if you've been through alcohol withdrawal, the horror of it. I still had some of the pills with me, the opiate pills, so I hadn't really gone into withdrawal from those. I knew I wouldn't be able to get any more while I was in England, but I thought that I perhaps had enough just to get me through this stage, if you like. But it wasn't, and I'd got back, and I got back home, it got worse and worse and worse. And then they realised, my wife, God bless her, because we knew I was going to have to produce the Christmas dinner. She propped me up, for that. The kids had to prop me up as well. We sort of muddled our way through it between us. I couldn't stand up for long. I had to have a stool in the kitchen. It was embarrassing. I felt shame. I felt guilt. All of these things, it came to the Christmas dinner, and I was in a hell of a state by this time. I really was. I couldn't even hold, I certainly didn't want to eat anything because I'd just puke it back up. I couldn't hold my knife and fork in my hand because I was shaking so much. And it wasn't anger towards me that hurt me so much from the family. It was the looks of disappointment and worry and fear in the state I was in. Putting them through, ruining their Christmas, ruining that special day for the whole family as they looked at me, and we sort of muddled through that meal, and I felt that disappointment and that, I suppose, shame, that they felt, and, it really hurt me and cut me deeply. But it still wasn't enough to stop me. This is the point I'm trying to make. I was so deep in addiction at that time. I remember my daughter, that following afternoon, I'd gone back to my room because I couldn't even stand up, and it had ruined the Christmas day for the whole family. We'd been trying to open presents, and I feel like weeping when I'm saying this now, but, I just sort of sat back. It had always been a really special day for us. And I couldn't even open presents, I was just in such a state, shaking, and they kept glancing at me, and I sort of made my excuses and went back to my room. My daughters, about an hour or 2 hours later, followed me back to the room, and both were in tears and begged me to stop because they were worried that I was going to die, which indeed I was on the way towards that. I was in such a bad way, and they begged me, and and I nodded my head, and all that was on my mind while they begged me and the hurt they were going through was getting back on the booze again and making myself feel better and hiding away from it and hiding away from the pain behind the alcohol and the drugs, and numbing all my feelings, and just finishing it all. That was what was on my mind. That is addiction. That is the power of addiction. Your family, the hurt you caused your family, and the begging, and the promises you give them that you're going to break. Immediately, their backs are turned. Because I did. I hadn't found that bottom, if you want to call it that. I hadn't found that desire to change at that point. The story goes on from there, and you look back on my channel and you'll see the story from there. But I wanted to, because Christmas is only 6 weeks away now, I wanted to tell that story just to illustrate that I'm in the best place of my life now at 64 years old. And the reason I've just told that story is because I wanted prove to you that anyone at any stage of their addiction can make the change. It is possible to make the change, possible to change the mindset, possible to create a new life and live life on life's terms. If you have got the desire and you really want it badly enough, you will do that. My family now look at me with pride and love, and that's worth all the apologies. Forget apologies and stuff like that. The best apology you can make is being the best version of yourself that you can be, for yourself, but for them as well, and for everyone else that loves you. And you can do that coming up to Christmas now. It's not too late to make the change today, because it's inside you. Anyone can do it. You may feel like it's absolutely impossible at the moment and there's no way out of the shit you're in, but there is. It can either be one day or day one today to make the change. So please do that, my friends. It's never too late. You're never too old. You can get out of this and create a new life for yourselves, I promise you. Much love to you all. Carpe diem. Please subscribe. Please click on the Ko-fi link if you want. Much love to you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.